There is a question that I'm asked quite a lot, but I think it's something that I would really like to know if I was just starting. Not just tattooing, but being an artist, or even something to do with creativity, where we need to create our own product, our own brand and style. And that is, how did I get to create my own style?
Say what?
Hello, my name is Gio. Hello. Belly. Okay, I just need to shake it out. I've been tattooing for about 7 years now. When I started tattooing, I was kind of experimenting with everything. I did lettering, I did a lot of infinity symbols, I did color, I did black work, I did a lot of realism. That was the direction that I wanted to take first, and that was because I was really good in drawing realistically. Somehow, just in my mind, it was quite easy to transform the idea of painting or drawing with a pencil into using needles. It was just quite natural. But I never knew that I would come to where I am now, which is black work, line work. I work anywhere from like super minimal tattoos, very small, very minimalistic, detailed, different thicknesses of lines, very carefully crafted, into like super chaotic and messy and sketchy and dark and quite heavy tattoos, big stuff. I love big stuff. Please, I want to do more big stuff. And I am just so happy where I am and how I got here, and this style that I've created. It really inspires me. I feel it really shows me, and it's just so rewarding to be able to draw something just coming out of me, whatever I feel, whatever I really resonate with, and just post it, and people want to tattoo that. It's just incredible. But this has been only like this for maybe the last 2 years. I feel it's just this like last year, it kind of crystallized. It became a thing. It became my style. And I only post this type of tattoos. I only almost make this type of tattoos. I do some little compromises here and there for friends, for customers who just want a tattoo from me, not necessarily from my style, but because they like me as a tattoo artist. But I've come to a place where I can basically tattoo only my style. How I came to this style, which is something that a lot of new artists want to know, because I remember like how I just wanted so bad to have my own style, and I was just like, I wonder how these big artists, big tattoo artists created this. It's just so unique. I've never seen something like this. How can I do it? Like, I don't know, I'm just really good at realism. I'm not so good at being creative or imaginative. I've never really done like things out of my mind. I like to see something and then create it. I'm really good at imitating. So yeah, it was a journey. It took some time, and that's why I would like to share it, because I believe it's quite important for people to have a little bit of patience and to know that it's okay if you don't find your style right now. Quite honestly, I don't really think there is such a thing as finding your own style, or like creating your own style, or like really going for your own style. I think maybe like most things in life, it happens naturally. So I see now that, looking back, probably the first times I started drawing in this way, which created this kind of freedom in my hand with which I can just like draw something quite intuitively, and it creates these lines that represent something and that create a shape that actually looks like something. And that started in the University of Architecture that I was studying in Lisbon. And I studied there for 1 year before I started tattooing. And we had these live figure drawings, which I just loved so much. And we had these models who would come and they would stand for, sometimes I just loved this teacher. She was so good. I don't remember her name, but if one day she watches this video, you know, you're like this blondish woman with curly hair from Faculdade de Arquitectura de Lisboa. And I, Julia Kuchaiva, was your student, and I just loved your classes. Thank you. She gave us these, like, she brought these models, and she would give us just like 10 seconds. The model would do some posture, and we would have some kind of material, and we would have to draw that whole figure in like 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. That's all you have to draw a human body. And we would do this over and over until that fear of like, no, none of that. It has to, like, you have to have the bravery, the courage to just go for it. It doesn't have to look like anything, but it is when you break that limitation, that fear, and you just go for it. It won't look so good probably the first times, but that's how I came to where I am now. And I look back at it, and now I really see that that's where it started. Then I also remember she used to ask us to draw something like a shoe, a cup, a phone. I remember really shoes and cups and some boxes. And she would ask us to draw it without taking the pen out of the paper. So again, what does this do? This forces me to, here it didn't have to be quick, but it has to be precise. So like the line that I do, it has to just be however it comes. Like I cannot undo it. I cannot take my hand off the paper, and I have to continue. So this would force me to really look at things, and also to trust, to just draw, because if I look too much and if I hesitate, I will never finish this drawing. So I would just draw, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily look the same and the proportions are not the same, but this trust in the line, it was creating itself there. And we did that a lot. We also went a lot outside, and we would draw buildings, and we would just break buildings into contrasts. Oh my God, this is just so smart. This is so good. I think I learned more from Architecture University than from Fine Arts University. Okay. We would just break down buildings into contrasts and shapes. No need to like look at details, but we would kind of like close our eyes and just see where is the darkest, where is the lightest, and find those balances. And I feel that that's so important for any type of drawing, any type of tattooing, to find contrast and to really emphasize and to break down shapes into shades. Like this, there's a shape here that is dark. There's a shape here that is dark. There's a shape here that is dark. There are two shapes here that are dark, and there's this whole shape here that is darker. And then like, which one is darker? This one is darker than this one, but this one is darker than this one. This one is kind of maybe the same darkness as here. You can see that, right? Then in Fine Arts, I went to study painting. So I think there I learned a lot of different techniques. But honestly, drawing classes? Of course, we had amazing drawing classes, and we had drawing figures too. Still, my favorite class from there was one where we did a self-portrait with a mirror, and we looked at ourselves, and the teacher said, just do something crazy, like do something that you don't usually do, just like really just do something out of the box. And well, I had like pencils and charcoals and things, and I looked, and he said, it doesn't have to look like you, just use that and just do something. And what I did, and like I still remember this so well, is that I looked at my fingers, and they were dirty from the charcoal that I was using before in this lesson. And I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I started like doing this on the paper, and looking and doing this and getting even dirtier and doing this and dirtier. And I created a self-portrait of myself with fingerprints, or a few of them, and that was just so much fun, like this freedom. And this is what I believe my style is representing today with tattooing, is like it for me feels like freedom. It feels like this self-expression in such a intuitive and way. So you can see these lessons in university were like 9 years ago, and it's a slow progress. And you see how now I'm using that. It wasn't that like I learned all of it when I decided to create my style. So then I was really good at doing realism, because that's something I've been doing my whole life. These things I just mentioned, they were challenging for me. That's not how I usually would draw. I would be very like, I see this, I measure it, I draw it, I want to do it exactly the way I see it, and that's it. And I was really good. I got really good at portraits. I was really good at drawing animals. And yeah, then I just learned how to do painting with oil. And anyway, this is kind of going a bit off track. As I started tattooing, I went into the direction of realism. And because I was good at it, it caught up quite quickly, and people were very interested, and I was excited. But after a while, it kind of became like, there's so many amazing artists who do realism. There was this one who's Dmitry Samokhin, and I was just like, he was my god in tattooing, and I wanted to be like him. But then I thought, do I want to be like him, or do I want to be myself? And it seems like most of the realistic artists, they're realistic artists, and it's just like, who can do it more realistically? And I didn't want to get into that game. I wanted to do something something me. And still, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with doing realism. And if you notice, this Dmitry Samokhin, he has his own style. Even in realism, the way you use the paint, the way you use the brush, the way you use your tattoo machine, will still be you always. But I think it's still more exciting to create really something very unique, quite different and new. And I was experimenting with different things in between. Realism was like my biggest thing, but I would mostly kind of do what the clients wanted me to do, because people were coming for me for tattoos, not really because I'm a great artist or because I was a great drawer and I'm just a new tattoo artist, and they're like, cool, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And I would do it. I did like all the things that I mentioned. And sometimes people would come with really interesting ideas. And I remember this one old friend of mine, she came and she asked me to do something like the old drawings of Tim Burton. He used to kind of draw like this. And I looked at his drawings, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And I loved those drawings, and I was like, yes, I want to do it. And so we did a portrait of her grandparents, but in Tim Burton style. So I did also the faces, like the faces that he draws, which was interesting. And then eventually I did a few more tattoos like that. But for me, what really resonated was that like sketchiness. And I just loved that. And I was like, oh, I hope somebody else asks me for this type of tattoo. And I loved to tattoo it. But also because it was lines. Lines are kind of hard to tattoo, at least for me. Like I need to have a very steady hand. And for me, like doing shading is much easier. I can just paint. So to get to where I am now, where I would do long lines and like so many lines, it's crazy because it's kind of hard, but it's not hard for me anymore. And then I remember the second time something happened like that was another guy who came to me and he showed me this drawing that a friend of him did, of his did. And it was a drawing of a woman, and he asked, could you do something like this, but maybe you recreate it? I'm like, yes, I loved it. It was something like that too. And you see, so yeah, there's a balance here, because sometimes I think, oh, maybe it was them. So maybe this is not my style. Maybe they are the ones who invented my style. So maybe I should say that this is my style. But this is not really true because, and it is true, they were the inspiration, and I was thankfully open enough to use that and to draw that into whatever I created now. Because I'm talking about these 2 episodes, but I'm not talking about all the other episodes. Somebody who asked me for a blue butterfly, I didn't think, oh my god, I'm gonna do butterflies now all the time. I'm gonna use all the different blues. No, I just kind of did it. Yeah. Okay, somebody asked me for a name, somebody asked me for a lettering, somebody asked me for a realistic portrait of a dog, somebody asked me for this and that, and I practiced, I did this, I did that. But it's interesting, my heart was really pulling me towards those lines. I just loved it. And I didn't really know why. And then it was like whenever somebody asks me for a tattoo, I can feel inside like, yeah, let's do it. Or I can feel like, oh my god, yes, let's do it, let's do it. And this is kind of how my style was created. It was through these let's do it that it was created. And then when I started working in studios and presenting my portfolio, I slowly started to manage my portfolio, putting those tattoos that I'm so excited about in the front and putting the realistic ones second and then the other ones afterwards. So that still I can have a lot of clients, because I was still worried about making tattoos and making money. So I wanted clients no matter what type of. But I made sure that I could show those to people. And sometimes I would even, like somebody would ask me, can you draw a dog for me? I'm like, sure. And we would kind of agree on realistic, but I would also draw a sketchy one, and I would be like, would you like the sketchy dog? And they're like, oh, I don't know. No, let's do the realistic. I'm like, okay. And I did this a few times, and this kind of sucks, but in the same way, it doesn't suck, because I practiced to draw like that, and I tried it, and I went for it, and I think somebody eventually said yes, and this is how sometimes it happens now. Right now, I tend to speak with my clients a lot more. I don't just go exactly for what they want, because I learned that it's a collaboration and it's okay to guide them in a specific direction, because most people are not tattoo artists. They don't know really what goes with the body, what works as a tattoo, how it should be created, how many lines are good and not, like. So it's okay to take some responsibility and to be like, okay, I like your idea, but I think this would be better. What do you think? Okay, I think I'm going into so many topics because there's so much about this. But what I wanted to come to is that eventually I just stopped posting all the other tattoos that I do. I still sometimes do, like I do a lot of tattoos that are not like all like that you can see on my Instagram. Not so many, but I do, especially small ones, because small ones are easy, and sometimes I like when somebody brings me something and I just don't have to think, I don't have to draw, I just follow somebody's drawing, but I don't really post them. And it doesn't mean that I don't like that tattoo or that I didn't do a good job, but there's just a vision and a direction I want to take my art, so I post only the ones that I really love and the ones that I really resonate with. And so now people have no choice but to ask me for those tattoos. And now I'm attracting people who love them, and they're like, oh my god, I love your tattoos. just anything, just do anything for me. And like, oh, that's amazing. So I just want to say that it's about experimentation. You have to experiment with so many different things and feel into it, feel into what it's like to draw realistically, what it's like to draw with colors, without colors, with a lot of black, with not any black, with many lines, with no lines, with just shading, with no shading, just like anything that you can find. Another thing I didn't really mention that I would sometimes do is to look for artists who you just love their art, and I would recreate, not for tattoos, but I would redraw some artists just to kind of get the feel of that, of the line. How do they use that? How did they create that? And that's a really good technique. I think it's really important to use masters, to have people we admire and to use them as inspiration. Trust and patience. Trust that it's coming. Have patience. It took me 6 years to come here, and this last year it's been really like very clear this what I'm doing. I also want to invite you, if you are really serious and interested in going deeper into your artistic skills, if you would like to be a tattoo artist, if you're already a tattoo artist and you want to go deeper, or if you're a tattoo artist who wants to learn more artistic skills, or the other way around, I'm creating 2 courses. They will be online courses. One is solely about art and the other one is about tattooing, which will also include the one of art. So they are in creation, and if you're interested, I will put a link below that you can subscribe and sign up for any news about these courses so that when they come out you can purchase them. And if you are in Berlin, Germany, or also I will probably do this in maybe Toronto and San Francisco, maybe some other cities where I visit, I'm creating a full day workshop. It will be on the 30th of September of 2018. And it will be a full day workshop for artists and beginners and non-artists completely. It's for people who would like to explore their artistic abilities and their self-expression and use drawing and sketching as a way for that. And in this specific workshop, my intention is really to combine my world of art and my world of self-growth, self-exploration, and my love for emotions. So I would like to explore in this workshop how to use emotions that we have already as an inspiration to create art, and how to use the art that we create as a mirror to how we feel inside, and to go deeper and to learn about ourselves. So it will be different exercises of drawing, sketching, freeing your hand, and also tuning into ourselves, maybe some meditations and contemplations and connecting exercises between the group. If you're interested, I'm also posting the link below, and there is a few spots left. I think that's it. That's how I created my style. Thank you so much again. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment to let me know what you think, if you have any questions, and if you would like to share your own experience.